Hey guys, Fusebox finally back on Raid Shadow Legends. I know it's been long. It seems like everybody probably knows by now that I do get busy. I work a lot. Sometimes I miss a good bit of time when I go on call, but the last month's been a little different. So real quick, I still appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. You'll help me out. You'll help other people out. It costs you nothing. Go ahead and leave comments. Hit the like button if you choose to, if you like it. Anyways, I appreciate all the support. So I haven't just been busy. About a little over a month ago, we found out my father was terminal, and he did pass a few days ago. It's been a long week for me, and so now I can finally explain why it's been really slow on my channel. I am back. We're all doing well. You know, he's in a better place. We've made peace with it, but it was definitely a tough month, let alone week. So I just want to let you know where I've been now that I can tell you what's been going on. On top of that, this video, sit through it. We've got so much to talk about. There's so much going on. Most of this will be live reactions. I have not been able to watch anybody's content for a week or two now. So this is going to be pretty raw. We're going to talk about the award ceremony. I definitely want to touch on that. There is a new promo code. If you happen to miss it, I barely caught on to it because I was so busy this week. So we'll go over that. The Void event they had last weekend, I think it was like a 2x with two different 10x's. So if you pulled, I want to hear what you got. We'll talk about that. The Christmas Fusion, we're going to definitely hit on that. Live reaction, I haven't really looked at it at all. I've got a screenshot we're going to go over. Bommel the Dreadhorn is in the bag. I want to give some tips. We're not going to do a whole guide because my level 50 guide did cover it. And also we're going to send you to Big Dave to see it done in action because he already got that video out. And we're going to talk about Hydra Boss. A few tips for the average player because wow, was he tough, right? Not what we were ready for, but it's cool. So let's start at the beginning. Saffron Man. Go to the Saffron's Man site. There's the award ceremony for 2021 Raid content creators. It's really cool. All the people that make this game even funner, they all get celebrated in their own ways. And I snuck in this year thanks to you guys. So real quick, let me pull this up. Just go to the saffronman.com. Up in the far right corner, it'll say vote here, and go through all these different categories and vote for your favorite people in each category. And because you guys, I actually snuck in for the last category is best stream intro, video intro. And here I am right here. I would gladly take your vote. So just hop down, vote for Fusebox. I'd appreciate it. But thank you guys. This is really cool to be a part of. And it's so fun. I had a lot of fun going through all these categories and watching videos I'd never seen. So definitely support these guys for even doing this. It keeps a lot of the content creators going because there's not a whole lot of reason to do it sometimes other than having fun. And this is fun. So that's cool. And on that same subject, there is a new promo code. It is TGA Sale. So TGASALE. If you missed it like I did because I had a crazy week, type it in. You get Fane. If you've been looking for Fane, an epic for free. And a good epic, especially for clan boss. Just super good skinwalkers. Skinwalkers are kind of, far and few between. So hit TGASALE, TGA Sale. And that's your promo code to get a bunch of good rewards on top of that. I think there's an epic book in there. Definitely worth doing. So don't miss out. And real quickly, they have been doing like this 10x for voids. That gets a lot of people excited. And there was a 10x for, I think it was Ursaga. And then there was one for Nekret the Great. Now, I never mentioned it, but during one of the fusion events, I pulled Nekret the Great. I've got him built out. Do not sit on him. I'll put a guide out in the next few days now that I'm getting back to my normal life. I will be getting back to making more content, I promise. I'm sure you understand. It's been a rough road for a little while. A lot longer than just this last week. So I hope that everybody does understand why I slowed down for a while. And so yeah, Nekret the Great's ridiculous, but who did you get? Did you get a God Secret Neri while you were pulling during the 2x? Let me know in the comments because these Void epics are game changing and the legendaries are ridiculous. So for the most part, just want to hear what everybody got. I did not pull any, but definitely want to hear what you got. So let's get on to, stick with me. There's a lot to talk about, but we want to get on to this Christmas Fusion. Let me get this on screen. Okay, this thing definitely looks wicked. I think, it's actually a high elf, so it's kind of cool to have like this beast for the high elves. Definitely neat looking. So I'm pretty sure everybody's looking for something better than Pixneal, and this will be the first time I looked over it. So A1, pretty much A1s are basic. We just want something useful out of it. It attacks one enemy, has a 80% chance of placing decreased accuracy, which is definitely useful. So already we're thinking about if you're pushing into hard mode Doom Tower, maybe the Hydra boss, breaking their accuracy because you don't have enough resistance. This could be super cool. On an A1, it probably will book up to 100%. If not, no big deal. 80% is pretty amazing. So that's cool. Good A1. A2 places block debuffs. Excellent. And increased defense, the big version, on all allies for 2 turns. On a 5-turn cooldown, I bet that it books down to a 3. So absolutely an amazing move anywhere. There's no point in discussing it. Blocking debuffs and increasing defense is going to be great on Hydra boss, Doom Tower waves, Doom Tower bosses. If you're still pushing faction wars, pretty much everywhere. That's solid. A3, we've got 5-turn cooldown, probably to a 3 or 4. What is it? Attacks all enemies. Hopefully it hits pretty decent. He's a defense-based champ. Places a perfect veil on all allies except for himself. Very good for Hydra boss. We'll be talking about that in a minute. Also places a shield on himself for 2 turns equal to 20% of the damage inflicted. So hopefully a pretty big shield with decent damage. We hope. So effectively, he puts everybody under a veil. Then he forces the attacks onto him because of that. And he gives himself a massive shield. So that's pretty cool. It's almost an effective way to CC without CCing. No crowd control, but you're still controlling the crowd. That's actually a pretty clever move. I like him. And he looks cool enough. I'm definitely building him. So I like this. And we got a passive. So what do we got? When attacked, he reflects damage. And also has a chance to place a freeze. 30% shot of placing a freeze is really pretty solid, considering that he will, for a large part of the battle, be forcing attacks on himself, and he's under a shield protecting himself. Everyone else is under a veil, so they take less AoE damage. Really, really solid, but good on the Hydra boss. And then that last passive could be super good on almost any wave you're up against. I like this guy. So Tatura, yeah, Rhymehide. We're gonna call him Rhymehide. Absolutely cool, right? I think this is worth getting excited for. If you've never followed me before, I'm telling you, every fusion and fragment event, if you can do it, do it. If you've never done one and you're not sure you can do it, this is a great time to go for it. If you fail your first 1 or 2 times, you'll see what you're not holding on to enough energy. You're not holding on to your gems until these events happen. I do everything during these events. And after that, I just start running for potions, doing all the boring work, right? Running spiders for money. And then I follow all these events to get all the other things done. I highly suggest doing it, but this guy looks like he's worth getting. And there is a little bit of uniqueness there. That block debuffs, everything on here, except for his passive, looks ridiculously good for the Hydra boss and a lot of Doom Tower bosses. And then and his passive makes him great everywhere else. That is worth looking into 100%. So now we got to move on to some longer topics. We will knock out Bommel real quick. So Bommel Dreadhorn, I did make a video. Just go to my channel. I have playlists for all kinds of things. Go to Doom Tower bosses. I showed how to beat him on level 50 hard and assured you it would work on 90. And indeed it did. I didn't have a whole lot of time, but I did every day do this so that I could just put a nail in that coffin. Where in the world is he? I went to level 90. I'm on the wrong account. Let me get on my main account. Okay. On my main account. Finally beat Bommel the Dreadhorn. Really good prize there. You get that Sacred Shard. And it is the same way that I did it before. There's some tips I want to give you. And also a huge shout out. Thank you for the shout out, Dave, by the way. We beat this kind of together. He's actually becoming quite a friend, even though I'm hard to reach. We've been talking through, I've been going through, and we kind of worked through this, but he put a video out beating 90 using this method. So I'm going to link him below. I'll link that video. Go check him out. There's no point in me making that video. We do a lot of work together behind the scenes. So I'm just going to let him show you how it goes down. But I want to give some tips, some really important little things about this. So when you're beating, you can go watch my video under my playlist, Bommel the Dreadhorn, level 50 hard. And I used the same gear. The only person I re-geared for a little bit of speed was my Vrask. I got him up to like 170 or something. Here are the things you need to remember. Let's go over masteries. So you're going to be using all the healers just like in the video. People who just bring heals, you're going to want to make sure those people increase their heals and their masteries. All you worried about over here is possibly Life Drinker in case of emergency and War Master. The rest does not matter. Over here, you're going to increase their HP because HP is super important. We'll get into stats in a minute. You're going to increase their heals all the way down, and you're going to be looking at things like, you know, if they have an amazing clutch revive or like her A2 for Godseeker Aniri, you're going to want to cycle a magic. But the most important thing is that you're going into the support tree, increasing their heals in every way possible. These are the people who just bring heals on abilities like their A1, their A2, and so on. You're going to go ahead and increase those heals and then go for War Master. That's about all that matters on masteries. Now, other heroes like Burgoth or Vogoth, let's find either one of them. Here's Vogoth. You're going to do the same thing. They're a little bit different, but in the end, they're there for their actual heals. They come off of their passive. So as they take hits, they do amazing heals, and that makes it easier to heal back up after you take that hit. So it'll be much the same. Now, Vogoth has a 3-hitter, so take Giant Slayer instead of War Master, but Burgoth will look much the same. And then healers like Vrask or Doom Priest. Now, Doom Priest, I do it to heal herself more. She kind of could go either way, but I prefer her to look like Vrask. But Vrask, he heals every time he hits, as long as you have the crit rate. So in this case, you need him to take as many moves as possible. Kind of the reason I have him in Relentless gear. We'll get into gear in a minute. But the most important thing is that you come down for Retribution. People will take more than 25% of their damage, so this gives him an extra hit. An extra hit is an extra heal, and he heals very hard. So you also want deterrence with Retribution because you're going to take stuns. That gives you a chance for him to get another move. If he gets another move, you get another heal. And every time he takes a move, he heals himself because of the gear. Well, actually, in Vrask's case, it's different. But that's an important distinction. Defense versus support. There's a lot of unnecessary, take whatever you want. Anywhere else in here, a lot of unnecessary masteries. But War Master, I really would advise you to put on Life Drinker and Deterrence. Well, on your way to Deterrence, the best choices are increasing your defense. Again, we'll go over stats in a minute. You might as well take less damage from AoEs. The rest, not so important. You're just trying to get into Retribution and Deterrence because that means more hits. More hits means more heals. So focused healers are going to take increased heals, and people who heal per turn or gets a benefit out of taking turns, they're going to want Deterrence and Retribution. And on that path, less damage from AoEs, all that good stuff. Stats. In general, let me get to my team and we'll go over it in general. Okay, for floor 90, I found the bare minimum, right? And by the time I reached these stats, level 50 is 100%. So just kind of showing you the progression. So this same team works all the way through 90. This is like the bare minimum. You'll probably have some struggles and like have to fight it a few times with these stats, but you can beat it with these stats. And then I will I'll keep rolling up my gear, putting on more glyphs, but I like to find out that sweet spot. So we'll just look at the team buildup. I went over their moves and everything last time. We're just looking at their stats. So something to keep in mind. Vogoth, they heal by taking hits. It's less important that they're fast because you're going to be sharing a lot of your regeneration gear and a lot of your immortal gear. So when you're trying to figure out who gets what, I'll say this right off the bat. Everybody wants to be at least about 2,500 defense. Absolutely. I think there are a few that are a little bit low for me, but that's your goal. Hit 2,500. If you can hit 3,000, much better. You do need some defense. It comes secondary to HP. The reason is bombs ignore defense. So you have to have high HP. Your heals are bigger. Your self heals are bigger from the sets you're wearing. And high HP lets you survive those nasty bombs that ignore your defense. You do need to get everybody around 70,000 minimum, and some of the more important people need to be even higher. But and 2,500 defense. You'll see that I have some defects both ways, but that is at least go for 70,000 HP and a solid 2,500, especially on your more important healers. They're all going to be healers. So speed is less important on Vogoth and Burgoth because they actually do their heals just by taking hits. They still need some speed because when they take turns, they heal themselves up because of their gear. But bare minimum, you're looking at about 180 speed on these two. You see I'm 192 and I'm 178. Nobody has to do damage. Don't worry about crit rate, crit damage. Matter of fact, keep most of them low so you're not getting procs from Doom Priest. Just you're worried about keeping everyone alive. War Master will kill this boss. You just have to survive. So heroes like this don't have to be as fast. Doom Priest with her cleanses, if you're bringing her in, you need her to go ahead and go fast. Now I couldn't go crazy fast because she's on my clan boss team, but 220 seems solid. So getting her well over 200 is a definite bonus. She's going to move more, get more cleanses from stuns and HP burns, which do a ton of damage when there's bombs on you. So you want all that stuff cleansed off, all the stuns. Get her moving fast. You'll get more heals. She has to have high HP. Again, maybe, as high as you can get it. But you still want close to 2,500 defense. She is a little bit low. Mine is only in Immortal gear. Everyone else is in Regeneration and Immortal, except for Vrask. We'll talk about him in a minute. Godseeker needs to be pretty fast too. 200 did seem to work. 220 is better, right? But 200 is reasonable. If you can get there with, and she's a little low, but she's right at 70,000 with a little over 2,500 defense. You see how I'm trying to balance that 2,500 defense with 70,000 HP. Sometimes it drops while one rises and the other way. That's like the bare minimum. You do not want anybody dying more than they have to. If you have Godseeker and Neri, there is an oops button that will bring you back. But definitely go ahead and do that. I like what Dave was saying on his video about going ahead and making this priority. This A2 is actually a better attack. You just make that first choice. Not necessary. I definitely didn't do it on mine, but it's super good. It's a big heal. You want it coming around often. As far as stats go, all of them are going to be the same, but speed is more important on your dedicated healers and the healers that heal each turn. Now, Vrask, he looks a little slow. I don't suggest making him slow, but he needs to be in Relentless gear to be this slow. Otherwise, you're going to be... Relentless gear is just so powerful on somebody that every turn gives you a ginormous heal. Pile the HP on this guy because his heals are based on his HP, and they're absolutely massive. His defense is a little bit low, but as long as I'm proccing extra hits and I'm moving through, this all worked for me. So in a very general sense, you're looking for almost 200 speed on everybody, 2,500 defense on everybody, and over 70k, and your important heroes, I'm talking about 80 to 90 if you can do it. So just push those stats, and as you do that, you're going to push past each level. This will absolutely never have a problem when it's on level 50 hard mode and beats 90 hard mode. So I just want to give some tips, the important tips, and on gear, it's all on the other video. I just want to make sure that it was clear what it takes to beat level 90, and that's all it is. That's all you need. So let me get out of here. I guess I could save what I just did. So now let's talk about Hydra Boss. So wow, Hydra Boss came in with an attitude, right? So I got to be honest. You can imagine the way my week was. I didn't really get to sit around and just replay. So I have a pretty poor score, mainly because I like to hear kind of where do the average players stand. Now, if you're doing great and you want to brag, drop it in the comments. I'm totally going to be happy for you. But my first hit was 10 million. That hit, I did really plan out my team. And then I took a hit. The way things have been going, the phone's always ringing. It's been a rough week, and I accidentally left one running on auto that was a horrible team, and I wasted a hit. It was around 1 million, and then I had one for like 4 million. I think one of the average problems the average player is going to have is having 18 heroes that are ideal for this boss. But let's talk about how you want to build a team. This is a decent team. If I would have manualed it the whole way, I could have pushed more, but again, rough week. Let's talk about how I got 10 million and then 4 million. Depends on where you're at, if that even matters. But it's about the type of heroes you want to bring. So I'm going to have to start working on some of the heroes that I'm going to be using. First of all, there's a formula when you're in battle. We'll go over that because it's pretty straightforward and it's super important to get the most damage. But the things that kind of play out when you're in here, this rotation, you're going to learn to hate the head of mischief. And because I haven't focus too hard. I'm going to call these slot 1, 2, 3, and 4. You've been in the fight. You kind of know who's in there. Mischief is the 4th slot. And the reason he's gross is because when you're following my formula, he's going to mess you up. Slot 2 can be really gross because every time you make contact with the second head, I think it's Torment. If I'm wrong, it's only because I don't have the time to sit here and break it all down, or I haven't in the past few days. But when you hit that second head, once you make contact, you're pretty much going to get a true fear every time. That's really nasty. You could lose your heals. You could lose your revives, your big damage dealers. And then the 3rd head can provoke. That's not a huge problem throughout the fight, but it's nasty when it hits because you might be trying to focus one. We'll get into that formula in a minute. The 1st head is not a huge problem, but these heads in tandem, they are going to be stealing buffs off of you and then spreading those buffs they took from you across the board. It's definitely nasty. There's a way to deal with that. So some of the things you can do, bringing a Veil. If you have somebody like Rector Drath, is like ideal for this because you're going to need healers. The key to this is surviving as long as you can. My first one went over 100 rounds without any sweat. You need to survive. You're going to have all kinds of people keeping you alive. Brogni was amazing because you do want to put up block buffs if you're able to. They're going to throw down weakens and all kinds of nasty things. You want to stop that. He also brings a lot of heals through his shields, and he reflects damage, giving you procs. Brogni is amazing here, by the way, but you might want somebody who shields you throughout the fight. High Shield's amazing. He can steal some buffs back or remove buffs. Oboro was amazing. She can do big damage. She can put a Veil on herself. We'll talk about that in a minute. And she can steal all the buffs off of herself, off of the hero, and put them on herself. Basically making one of the heads perfect for attacking when you're following the formula we're about to talk about. A lot of great heroes, but people like Rector Drath can put up that Veil on your team. Veil means that when you're hitting that second head, I believe it's Torment, you do not take fear. Having a Veil makes you not worry about fear. Absolutely wonderful. If you're struggling with landing your debuffs, just make sure you put the right aura in the lead, increase your accuracy. You can definitely bring enough resistance. Somebody like Rector Drath could be your lead, and you could even break the accuracy of the heads and try to keep things from landing on you that way. But you can also bring block buffs. So also another thing that seemed really important, putting up block debuffs is super amazing because they cannot spread those buffs around and they'll end up with a ton of buffs. So some general ideas on the types of heroes and moves you want. Also Strengthen is just amazing in general. It does give you some kind of effect. It helps protect you from something, but it's more important that it's just an amazing ability. So Strengthen is great to bring too. You don't need to bring 2 on each one. You're going to make 3 teams. So save 1 Strengthen hero for 1 team. I used Lydia on 1. I used maybe a Chak, I think, on another. And then I used Nekret the Great to help spread some Strengthen buffs on another. So you're going to want to stay alive. You need, you probably want at least 1 reviver. You want several people that can heal or shield, somehow keep you alive and maintain your health as you're taking damage. And then you're going to be able to last. But you're going to need to fill at least a couple of slots with serious DPS, because here's the formula. You get into the fight, don't target, if you're not bringing a Veil, don't target that second head of Torment. You're just going to get a bunch of fears. It's going to be nasty. Don't target the head of Mischief because there's a 75% chance every time you strike him that you hit another head. That could throw you onto Torment, giving you fears. Ignore him. Ignore slot 2. I believe it's Torment. Go for either 1 or 3 and start picking on him. You might even wait 1 round to start planning all your buffs and debuffs because they're going to cleanse themselves. They're going to steal buffs off you. So maybe just A1, let's say you want to hit head number 3. I can't remember the names. Just start picking on him. After they've all taken a turn, start planning all your buffs, planning all your debuffs, getting the fight really going. And pretty shortly, somebody's going to get that super shield. Life barrier or something. It looks like a little egg up on it. Has a yellow border because you cannot remove it. Hopefully you are planning things like block buffs on the heads so that they're not buffing up. But once you see that shield, practice going straight after it and knocking it out. That's why you need some pretty heavy DPS. Ninja's great for this. who was it? Mountain King actually was pretty solid. If his affinity let him, he could hit really hard. A Boro was good for this. And don't be afraid to bring some, we'll talk about Hex in a minute too. But anyways, you want to knock that shield out, because that shield, if you don't clear it before its cooldowns run down, he's going to fully heal that head. That is okay. If you're struggling, it is okay if that head does fully heal. It doesn't affect your damage. But we're going to talk about what happens when you do decapitate a head, and you definitely want to be doing it. So get rid of shields as soon as they pop up. But what takes priority over that is when they swallow a hero. A small green bar pops up. You've got so many turns to get that hero out of them before he's digested. You have to go after that hero with everything you have. You need him back on your team, whoever it is, because you can't get them back if they're digested. So the only problem you're going to have with that, assuming you brought sustain and damage, is going to be if it's on Mischief. If Mischief swallows somebody, you've got to take that head out, and he likes to throw your hits everywhere else. But don't panic. There are some ways around that. Bringing people with some AoEs does make sure that even if you don't hit him, you are doing damage to him. The only way to ensure that you're going to hit the head of Mischief is if you actually bring a Hex. Once Hex lands on him, you can hit him all you want, and he can no longer throw you off to the other heads. So you do want to consider bringing like that new hero we just got, Viltrax, the epic that we just had off the Fragment event. He can throw out the Hex. Ruel Huntmaster is really good because he brings really strong damage and the Hex. If you're having trouble keeping Hex up, you might consider a debuff extender to constantly, on the head of Mischief, keep the Hex buff up. They will cleanse it every now and then. It's kind of hard to do anything about that. But if you can just keep landing Hex when the head of Mischief needs to be the target, then other than that, your main goal, take out shields, always go for getting your hero back. Your main goal after that is decapitating one of the heads. Once that head's decapitated, they take a tremendous amount of damage. During that moment, if no one's swallowed up, you want to focus on all your heroes doing damage on the head that's decapitated and just throw your damage through the roof. He will skip an entire turn and sit there decapitated, taking tremendous damage. Once that's over, go right back to your formula. The only thing that's going to take you off of that head that's decapitated is if you need to go and get your hero back because it was swallowed. This is kind of a formula that definitely worked when I actually had time to go through an entire fight and do it right. It got me 10 million. I know that's not huge. I'm sure people are getting 20, 30 million. But the way I felt it out, that seems about like where we're going to be, right? Hitting for 10 to 20 million, somewhere in there. Let me know in the comments below. I have not watched any other video. I have no idea what's going on out there. So, and don't feel bad. If you're getting 300,000, give that 300,000 damage to your clan and help each other out. The loot is going to be okay, even on the smallest of chests. So get in there and try it out. Don't waste keys. If your team's looking bad, back out. If you don't have a Hex and right off the bat, Head of Mischief, swallow somebody, reset the fight. Give it another shot. If you're not able to kill him, just reset the fight, go back in and try to get some better RNG. Let another head swallow your hero. Go after them. These are just some tips. Don't waste keys. You get 3 for the entire week before it resets. Every 4 weeks, we're going to get a different rotation of heads, so it's going to feel a little different. We'll have to learn it out, learn it again that time. But these heads will continuously be in the fight, so you might as well start, learning how you're making 3 teams with the same ingredients is going to be hard. You're going to miss some ingredients. You don't have to have a Veil, but it makes it a lot easier to ignore the second head of Torment. You're not always going to have a Hex, but that makes it a whole lot safer to go after the head of Mischief when he swallows a hero. The other 2 are not that big of a problem, as far as I can see. I mean, they do some nasty things, spreading their buffs and cleansing themselves, but in the end, you just got to learn how to manage to me, the most important 2 to watch are getting feared on Torment and not being able to hit Mischief. So do whatever you have available on each one of the teams you put together to try to figure that out. It may be AoE damage so that you can actually kill the head of Mischief. It may be bringing a Hex so that you can kill him. Veil just to protect you when you hit the head of Torment. So anyways, let me know what you think about what I think and how you've been doing. But the Hydra, there's a lot to talk about. That's a pretty good starting point, it seems. And I know, even though it seems like I didn't get much damage out, I wasted one and I kind of rushed another. But my first hit went really good. While I was laying in bed on my tablet, I just went ahead and took my time. And it was a pretty good hit. So now I got to figure out how to replicate that with the rest of my heroes. And as many heroes as I have, there are going to be people out there really struggling to put together a second and third team. But people like High Shield, Oboro are pretty amazing. And even I did try him on a team. What is his name? Samar Jimcurst. You just don't. The only problem is he brings a no damage buff that can be pulled up. And if you're not able to control the buffs, he can be a little bit tough. But afterwards, he can start removing some buffs too. It's pretty useful champion. So anyways, guys, thanks for sitting through it. I wanted to let you know where I've been. I know this went long, but there's a lot of good information. And until next time, enjoy the grind.